This is Ash Ketchum's World Champion team, but are they really that strong? Over a year ago, I ranked the strength of all of Ash's Pokemon, but now that Pokemon Journeys has reached its end, it's time to update this tier list and find out how strong his World Champion team really is. Okay, here's a quick refresher on the tier list I made back in October of 2021. E is the below average tier for Ash's weakest Pokemon who haven't really done much. D is the average tier for Ash's most standard Pokemon that can rival gym leaders. C is the above average tier for Pokemon that clearly surpass gym leader strength. B is the Elite Four tier for Pokemon that can rival Elite Four members. A is the champion tier for Pokemon that are champion level. And S is the legendary tier for Pokemon that can rival legendaries. Now right away, you could probably tell that the ranking desperately needs some updates. But before I reveal the changes, let's first go over some additions. In order to make this the definitive Ash Pokemon tier list, we need to have every Ash Pokemon here. And I technically missed a few the last time, so let's fix that now. First is Larvitar, who will be going in the E tier. Originally not included because it was with Ash for a very short time and he technically never caught it, but I think enough time has passed and enough evidence has been given to prove that Larvitar is in fact an Ash Pokemon. Unfortunately for him though, he's gonna have to sit at the lowest tier because he barely has any battle experience. His most impressive feats come from using Screech a lot and blasting off Team Rocket, but literally every Pokemon on this list can do that, so that ain't special. Plus Larvitar was a baby, so it makes sense. Next up is Mimi. Originally not included because there was still a lot of debate on whether or not it was Delia's or Ash's or both. We've never actually seen Ash catch it, which doesn't help, and he's only really been used once in the very beginning of Journeys. However, nowadays the anime really wants us to believe that Ash did in fact catch it back in Kanto, so fine, whatever. I guess it's technically an Ash Pokemon now. As you can see, I have it in the average tier, simply because we haven't seen enough of its battle power to rank it any higher. It isn't until Pokemon Journeys, in the battle against Hodge at the Flute Cup, where it truly puts up a real fight and gets its most impressive feat by defeating Hariyama. It does surprisingly well, but there's a few things we need to consider here. 1. Although Mimi kicked ass, it did have the type advantage. 2. We don't really know how strong Hodge truly is since his only other notable fight was against Go when he was a newbie. And 3. Mimi refused to fight once Mightyena came out, so it shows he ain't really that well trained in battle. And that wraps up the missing Pokemon. There's technically one more I left out, but I'll be saving that surprise for the end. In the meantime though, let's finally go over the updates to Ash's Journeys team rankings. I'll be going in order from the Pokemon with the least amount of changes to the most drastic. So first up is Pikachu, Dracovish, and Dragonite. Yeah, these guys aren't moving. Pikachu's a pretty obvious one. I mean, it was the one to take out the ace of the most powerful trainer in the world after all. Need I say more? So Pikachu has definitely earned the top spot. If anything, it just further proves that Pikachu surpasses Greninja now since Alon's Charizard gets waxed by Leon's Charizard, which is something Greninja couldn't do. Dracovish is a funny one, cause I remember a lot of people being perplexed with how high he ended up ranking despite its little experience at the time. And although I do agree that realistically he shouldn't be this high, the facts say otherwise. His only feat at the time was defeating Iris's Dragonite, and since then it's decimated Clement's Diggersby, defeated Elite Four Drosna's Noivern, defeated Cynthia's Roserade, and survived the Dragon Claw from her Garchomp. Those last two are especially notable since Cynthia was ranked the second strongest trainer in the world. So yes, Dracovish was in fact on the level of champions all along. Same goes for Dragonite. Her case is a bit more interesting though, cause in the beginning she was pretty broken and near unstoppable, but ended up getting a pretty ugly losing streak after this tier list was made. She legit got back-to-back losses from Raihan's Flygon, Paul's Garchomp, and Cynthia's Spiritomb, without getting a single win. See, what did I say? Never trust an undefeated Pokemon. She was able to get some redemption though, by defeating Leon's Dragapult, so Dragonite still deserves her spot in the champion tier. Next is Lucario. Originally placed in the champion tier next to Dragonite, but now has moved up to the legendary tier. On top of gaining the power of Mega Evolution, Lucario has been able to easily defeat its former rival Graplocked and even defeated Beast G-Max Machamp in the same battle. If that wasn't enough to show off its strength, then there's also the fact that it received training from the legend himself, Greninja, to help master its aura and unlock the giant Aura Sphere. This move is so powerful that it was able to take out Raihan's G-Max Duraludon before it could even use 3 Dynamax moves, and Lucario wasn't even Mega Evolved. That's kind of insane. The accolades don't stop there though, cause Lucario has also defeated Leon's Mr. Rime, Cynthia's Garchomp, and has even battled against Lugia. Man, has this guy been busy. Its greatest achievement is definitely defeating Cynthia's Garchomp though. I know a lot of people like to discredit the win since it didn't beat Mega Garchomp, but keep in mind that it had a tough battle against Dynamax Togekiss right before that and still won. That's 2 of Cynthia's Pokemon back to back. People make defeating regular Garchomp out to be like it's no big whoop, but regular Garchomp on its own is still quite the powerful Pokemon. It was basically the Leon's Charizard of Diamond and Pearl back in the day, so it's still a pretty big deal if you ask me. Regardless of how you feel about him, I think Lucario has definitely earned his spot along Ash's most powerful Pokemon. Now time for Gengar, who was in the Elite Four tier, but has moved up to the Champion tier. It's crazy how much things can change, cause back when I first made the tier list, Gengar was the Journey's team member taking the most L's. But since then, he's gotten a lot more screen time and development, allowing him to take down Marnie's Grimmsnarl, Raihan's Flygon, Paul's Metagross, Steven's Aggron, and defeated Leon's Inteleon. Inteleon is a big one, cause it's the first of Leon's Pokemon Ash could defeat, but I think its greatest and most outrageous win comes from defeating Steven's Aggron. I hate the fact that it basically wins with burn damage, but that's actually kind of impressive. Also, it makes sense that the move is so strong considering it was taught to him by Ash's fire types, which included the likes of Charizard and Infernape, who we confirmed are legendary tier Pokemon. And lastly, we have the Journey's team member with the most improvement, Camon, who I originally had in the above average tier, but shoots all the way up to the top of Champion tier. His greatest achievement at the time was defeating Rinto's Gallade. Remember that guy? After that, Camon pretty much took the bench in Ash's Journey's team and didn't do anything substantial until 43 episodes later, where it learned Meteor Assault at the Lumio's gym. After that, this dude's feat skyrocketed by pulling off insane things like one-shotting Clement's Ace Luxray, defeating Drosna's Mega Altaria, Cynthia's Milotic, who easily took out Iris's Dragonite mind you, and did tremendous damage to Cynthia's Garchomp that had it stumbling at one point. That is absolutely mad. Although Lucario took the win against Garchomp, Camon definitely deserves some credit for weakening it. Another thing worth noting is the fact that Camon was able to hold its own against Leon's busted Rillaboom. How busted was it again? Oh yeah, that's right, it's the Pokemon that basically swept Diantha's team. Just look at what happened when Rillaboom tried to hold back Meteor Assault. It couldn't, and got knocked back with tremendous force. Dragonite couldn't even touch this Pokemon right before this, so that says a lot. Camon might not have defeated it, but it was able to do enough damage for Dracovish to finish it off. So with that, I honestly believe that Camon is Ash's strongest non-ace Pokemon. Well, I would say that, if it wasn't for one Pokemon I have yet to mention that's the strongest of them all. Yes, even stronger than Pikachu and Greninja. That Pokemon is none other than Nebby. That's right, if we're counting Larvitar as an Ash Pokemon, then we have to count Nebby as well. Ash may have not caught it, but it was in his care since it was a little Cosmog, and it's actually traveled with Ash longer than Larvitar did. And if Pikachu was able to include it as part of Ash's roster when he thought of everybody in the Leon fight, rest in peace Haunter, Raticate, and Beedrill, then Nebby is definitely an Ash Pokemon in my eyes. And because it's a powerful legendary, it obviously belongs in the legendary tier. Yes, Pikachu is incredibly powerful and is easily the most powerful Pokemon he has on hand, but Nebby was also able to one-shot Dawnwing's Necrozma, so once Pikachu can do that, then I'll consider putting him back at number 1. Oh, by the way, if Ash does manage to catch that Latias that's been stalking him, then that goes into the legendary tier as well. Pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, there you have it, the final definitive ranking of all of Ash's Pokemon. Hopefully this ages well and he doesn't catch anything else or do anything too crazy. I doubt he will with the little time we have left, but you never know. So with that being said, thank you all for watching this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Shout out to the channel members for their extra support, and consider becoming one as well to watch my videos days early. Last but not least, make sure to live your life to the fullest, and have yourself a damn good one.